Good day, everyone. We are Year 5 and we are here to discuss a key topic in the principle of management, which is managerial decisions. Firstly, my name is Janelle Grace A. Colico and I am here with Miss Shara Isabel de Guzman and Miss Cristel Noreen Baronia. But before we dive into the discussion, I want you to think about a single number. Mine is 35,000. Why? Because according to researchers, that is the average number of decisions an adult makes every single day. Most are trivials, like what coffee to buy. But in the world of business, decisions are the currency of management, whether it's a supervisor on a factory floor or a CEO in a boardroom. A manager's value isn't defined by their titles, but by the quality of the choices they make. Today, we are exploring the framework behind those choices, managerial decisions. To simply put, a managerial decision is a choice made by a manager that is significantly impacts the organization's performance, resources, or reputation. It is always a response to either a problem that needs solving or an opportunity that needs seizing. The ultimate goal of this choice is always to select the most appropriate course of action to achieve organizational goals. Meaning, management isn't just about doing things, it's about deciding which things are worth doing. Like, if planning is the map of an organization, decision making is the engine that actually drives the vehicle. To better understand this, let's look at the four key characteristics that separate a professional managerial decisions from a simple daily choices. Number one, goal oriented. First, they are always goal oriented. Managers are expected to aim for achieving a specific object, such as maximizing profit, increasing market share, or improving efficiency. Because managers needed to be goal oriented, because without a specific target, a manager's decision has no direction and leads to waste effort. Second, they follow a systematic process. Effective managerial decisions follow a structured, step by step procedure rather than being based on random choice or impulse. Because a structured approach reduces the chances of making emotional or impulsive errors that could hurt the company. Third, every decision involves resource commitment, allocating and dedicating the organization's limited resources, such as money, time, and personnel, to the choice and course of action, means managers must ensure that time and money are being spent on the best possible option. Finally, managerial decisions involve risk and uncertainty. Managers must weigh various factors because they are rarely have complete or perfect information about the future. Precisely because the business world is unpredictable, a manager's job is to minimize those risks through careful analysis. Now that we understand what a managerial decision is and its core characteristic, let's look why it's so vital. Decision making is not just one job since it's the foundation for everything a manager does. The importance of decisions, or why it is matter. Decision making is important because it is the glue that holds the four fundamental function, or the POLC, of management together. Without making choices, managers cannot perform any of this function. The POLC framework planning. Decision making is the core of planning. Managers must decide on the organization's mission, vision, objectives, and the best strategies to achieve those goals. Next is organizing. Here, managers decide how to structure the management or the organization, what jobs will be created, and who will be assigned to what tasks and responsibilities. This is all about allocating resources through choices. Third, leading. Leaders make decisions on how to motivate, influence, and communicate with employees to ensure the successful execution of plans. This also includes crucial decisions on conflict resolution. Lastly, in controlling, decisions are made when managers evaluate, performance and identify deviations from established standard. They then decide on the corrective actions needed to bring performance back in line with the plan. To simply put, decisions are integral to every single step of management. Given this immense responsibility, managers need a reliable way to solve problems, especially complex ones. One excellent framework for this is the computational thinking process. The computational thinking process is a powerful problem solving framework. It involves expressing problems and their solutions in a way that is systematic and scalable. For managers, it is an excellent model for addressing both program and non-program decisions. It gives us a structured four-step approach. Number one, decomposition. This first step involves breaking down a complex problem into smaller, more manageable parts. Since you can solve a huge issue all at once, you must divide it. Number two, pattern recognition. Next, we look for similarities, trends, or underlying patterns within those smaller decomposed problems. Finding a pattern often suggests a common reusable solution. Number three, abstraction. This means focusing only on the essential information while ignoring irrelevant details. The goal is to create a simplified model of the problem so you can work on the core issue. And lastly, number four, algorithmic thinking or automation. The final step is developing a clear step by step procedure or an algorithm or rule set to solve the problem. If you can define the step this clearly, the solution can often be applied repeatedly or even automated. To summarize the CTP, it means it is effective precisely because it can handle all types of decisions, whether routine or complex. This brings us to our next major distinct in management, the difference between those two types of problems, which are program and non-program that we'll be discussing by Ms. De Guzman.
Okay, now let's talk about program decisions and non-program decision. First is program decision. These are routine or repetitive decisions that have a standard solution. It used when the problem is common, well-structured, and occurs regularly. Ang program decisions, ito yung mga decision na paulit-ulit na, familiar, or may nakahandang solusyon na. It means, kapag madalas itong nangyayari, ito yung madalas na nangyayari sa isang problema, meron na silang standard procedure or rules na agad sinusunod. Hindi na kailangan mag-isip ng malalim kasi mayroon ng guide. Para lang siyang checklist. Kapag nangyari ulit, i-apply lang yung same solution. Kaya mabilis, madali, at mababa yung risk ng pagkakamali dahil tested na yung paraan. For example, ito yung example ng program decisions. Pag-approve ng leave na complete ang requirements, pag-reorder ng supplies kapag low stock, o pag-follow ng company policies sa routine task. And now, the non-program decisions. These are new, unusual, or complex decisions that do not have already made solution. It used when the problem is unique, uncertain, or unstructured. It means, ang program decisions ay yung mga desisyon na bago, like komplikado pa at walang nakahandang solusyon. It means hindi pa ito routine o hindi pa pwedeng isolve gamit lang ang standard procedures. Kailangan dito ng malalim na pag-iisip, analysis, at minsan creativity. Kasi unique ang problema at minsan first time mangyari. Mas matagal gawin ang decision at mas mataas ang risk dahil hindi sigurado ang magiging resulta nito. For example, pag-decide kung maglo-launch ba ng bagong produkto, another example, pag-handle ng biglaang crisis, or paggawa ng major changes sa company strategy. Ayun yung mga example ng non-program decision. Okay, next naman tayo sa level of decisions. First is strategic decisions. Next is tactical decisions, operational decisions. And for the strategic decisions, these are made by top-level managers. These choices focus on the long-term the long-term direction of the organization. They involve major goals, future plans, and overall strategies that guide the entire company. Yung strategic decisions, siya yung nasa top level. Ito yung pinakamalaking decisions na ginagawa ng top management, ng mga CEO, president, or executives. Ang long-term yung effect nito tungkol sa, for example, tungkol sa direction ng buong kumpanya, malalaking goals at plans ang sakop. Ang halimbawa pa is, mag-expand ba sa ibang bansa or mag-launch ba ng bagong business line. And tactical decisions naman, ito yung nasa middle level. Ginagawa ng middle managers para i-support ang strategic decisions. Ito naman yung tinatawag na medium term. May mas specific at nakatutok sa isang department o team, ginagawang workable yung malalaking plano ng top management. For example, pag-create ng marketing plan para suportahan ang new product, and another is pag-assign ng budget at resources sa bawat department. And for the last decision is the operational decision, which is ito yung lower level. Ito ang daily or routine decisions na ginagawa ng supervisors o frontline managers. Ito rin ay tinatawag na short term. Focus sa daily operations, sinisigurong smooth ang takbo ng trabaho araw-araw. For example, scheduling ng staff, pag-approve ng daily tasks, pag-monitor ng inventory levels. For the last topic is the 8 steps of decision making, which are the identify the problem, gather information, identify alternatives, weigh the evidence, choose the best alternative, take action, review the decision, and make adjustments if needed. First is the identify the problem. It recognizes what the real issue is. You must clearly understand what needs a decision. And the number 2 is gather information. It collects the facts, data, and details related to the problem so you can make an informed choice. And the third is identify alternatives. List of all the possible options or solutions that you can choose from. And number 4 is weigh the evidence. Evaluate each option by looking at the pros and cons. Consider the risk, benefits, and also the outcomes. Tong fifth is choose the best alternative. Select the option that seems most effective and suitable based on your evaluation. And take an action. Implement the decision. Put your chosen solution into practice. And seventh is the review the decision. Check if the decision solved the problem, evaluate the results, and see if everything went as expected. And the last is make adjustments if needed. If the decision doesn't work well, make changes or choose another alternative. It means ang decision-making process ay mayroon ngang 8 steps. Una, kailangan natin mag-identify ang problem para malinaw kung anong dapat ayusin. Next is mag-gather ng information para may sapat na kaalaman sa sitwasyon. Sunod, i-identify ang mga possible alternatives or options. And then, weigh the evidences sa pamamagitan ng pagsusuri ng pros at cons ng bawat options. Then, choose ang piliin natin yung best alternative at mag-take tayo ng action para i-implement ang napiling solusyon. And at the last, i-review yung mga decision para makita kung effective at kung kailangan bang make adjustments kung kailangan.
Next is the 3 types of decision-making model. So we have 3 types of decision-making model. First is the rational model. So rational model focuses on using logical steps to come to the best solution possible. This often involves analyzing multiple solutions at once to choose the one that offers the best quality outcome. So the rational model is a structured step-by-step approach used to reach the most accurate and high-quality conclusion. It is based on a principle of logic over intuition, ensuring that choices are backed by data rather than gut feelings. So we have a key points in this model. So first is define the goal or problem, gather relevant information, list possible options, evaluate and rank the option, choose the best option, implement the decision. Second is the bounded rationality development. So, developed by Herbert Simon, This model recognizes that human decision making is limited or bounded by practical constraints like finite time, imperfect information, and limited cognitive capacity, while the rational model describes how we should make decisions in a perfect world. So Herbert Simon's model describes how we actually make them in a real world. So the the key points of this model is identify the goal, problem, use experience to assess the situation, generate one workable solution quickly, mentally test or adjust the solution, and take action. Next is intuitive model. So, intuitive model is rather than logical reasoning, it relies on gut feelings, experience, and pattern recognition to make decisions. So, it's often based on lighting past pattern recognition drawn from years of expertise. So, the instinct or intuitive model is rely on lighting past pattern recognition born from experience, which is a vital in high pressure situation but prone to cognitive biases or thinking errors. So discussed at the start of this effort. So the key points of this model is define the goal and problem, recall similar past situation, identify possible biases, choose a solution using experience and values, implement quickly. For better understanding, the rational model is the ideal standard focusing logic and multiple solutions to ensure the highest quality outcome. So next is the bounded rationality. Herbert Simon acknowledged that we are human. We often settle for good enough because we lack the time or brain power to be perfectly logical. So last is the intuitive decision making. It's the fastest method relying on years of expertise to spot pattern instantly. Thought is most susceptible to thinking errors biases. Now let's proceed in decision making. So now, let's proceed in decision-making biases are thinking errors that affect how we judge situation and make choices. So they happen automatically and can lead us to make decisions that are not fully logical or accurate. In a simple terms, they are mental shortcut our brain used to process information quickly. So while these shortcuts are often helpful for survival, they can lead to thinking errors that result in illogical or inaccurate choices. So we have a type of decision making biases. First is the confirmation bias. So this confirmation bias is this refers to the tendency to favor information that confirm existing beliefs while disregarding contradictory evidence. It creates a filter that prevents objective analysis. So example of this bias is focusing only positive market research data that support your project idea while ignoring negative feedback. So second bias is self-serving bias. So the inclination to attribute to success to personal skill and internal factors while blaming failures on external situational circumstances to protect one's ego. So, example of this bias is taking credit for a profitable quarter but blaming bad management or the economy of chaos are not met. Availability bias is a mental shortcut where people judge the probability of an event based on how easily examples come to mind, often favoring recent or sensational information over actual data. So, example of this bias is purchasing a specific software just because it is currently trending in the industry, rather than researching if it actually meets company needs. Next is groupthink. Groupthink is a phenomenon where individuals prioritize group harmony and consensus over critical thinking, tending them to suppress dissenting opinions. So, example of this is tem- team members staying silent about the flaws of marketing campaign because they do not want to dampen the group excitement. Next is status quo bias. So, the status quo bias is the preference for the current state of affairs and a resistance to change, often driven by the perception that any departure from the norm is risk. Example of this bias is sticking with an outdated manual filing system simply because that's how it has always been done despite more efficient digital options. So the authority bias is the tendency to attribute greater accuracy to the opinion of an authority figure, leading to blind obedience or lack of critical evaluation of their instruction. So, example of this bias is executing executing a task you know is flawed by simply because your superior instructed you to do it. So, next is overconfidence bias. So, the tendency to overestimate one's abilities, knowledge, or the accuracy of one's prediction, which often leads to poor planning and high-risk mistake. Example of this bias is refusing assistance on a complex assignment because you believe you can finish it alone, resulting in a low quality output delivered past the deadline. And nine is a sunk cost fallacy. So the sunk cost fallacy is the irrational decision to continue investing in a losing proposition because of the resources. So time, money, effort already committed rather than looking at the availability. So next is the pros and cons of a group decision making. So pros is more perspective. Group members contribute different ideas, higher creativity, combining knowledge to lead better solutions, shared responsibilities. Decisions are carried by everyone. So last is the greater acceptance. Members support decision they help create. The cons of decision making is time consuming. Discussion take longer than individual decision. Next is conflict differences. In opinion may cause disagreements. Groupthink. Member agree just to avoid conflict. Dominant member. Strong personalities may overpower others. And last is the goal displacement. The group forgets the main purpose and start focusing on a smaller, unnecessary fight or rule. And that's all for today. Thank you.